Monster Trucks. The film opens at a well for Terravex, an oil company. CEO Reese Tennyson, Rob Lowe, goes to the well and talks to Dr. Jim Dowd, Thomas Lennon, since this well is not pumping oil. As they investigate the blockage, another scientist discovers a water pocket below the earth that may indicate the possibility of an ecosystem living down there. The water pressure then starts to destabilize. The well bursts and 3 monsters pop out. Tennyson hires a man named Holt McCallany, to capture the monsters. 2 are taken in, but one of them has escaped and is hiding inside a truck. We meet high school student Trip, Lucas Till. He lives with his mom Cindy, Amy Ryan, and her boyfriend Rick, Barry Pepper, who is the town's sheriff. Trip wants nothing more than to get out of town and do something on his own. He works as a mechanic for Mr. Weathers, Danny Glover, who has brought in the truck that the missing monster is hiding in. At night, Trip goes into the garage to mess around with a truck that he wants to fix up. He sees a news report with his estranged father Wade, Frank Whaley, reporting from near the oil well after witnessing the incident from the previous night. Trip then hears a noise and sees one van in the garage with a hole where the gas tank used to be. At school, Trip rides his bike and talks to Meredith, Jane Levy, a girl in his class who is supposed to tutor him. He then runs into his friends Sam, Tucker Albrizzi, and they see people gathered around another car with a hole in the gas tank. In the garage at night, Trip hears a growling noise by the oil canisters. He encounters the missing monster and hides in the cellar before trapping it in there. He calls for help, leading to Rick and some of his men to come by and investigate. However, the monster is gone when they look in the cellar. Rick accuses Trip of lying to cause trouble. The next night, Trip gets some oil canisters to lure the monster out. The monster makes its full appearance as a large, squid-like blob. It starts to feed on the oil, but then nearly gets crushed under a compactor after Trip drops the switch and it breaks. Trip pulls it out in time. Although a bit hostile at first, the monster warms up to Trip, and they start to have fun by throwing things at the Terravex truck. Burke goes to the police station to ask around about the monster since it was reported as being spotted. Both he and Rick butt heads over their concerns regarding the monster. Trip tries to keep the monster hidden from everyone. Burke comes by the shop asking questions, though Trip denies that he's seen what Burke and his goons are looking for. After getting them out of the garage, Trip finds Meredith coming by as she was looking for him but came walking. She asks for a ride home, but Trip tells her he can't take her. When the monster, who is hiding in Trip's truck, starts growling and making noises, it arouses the suspicion of Burke. Trip gets Meredith and hops in the truck so they can get out. Burke and his men start following them, and the monster starts to take control of the truck to get them away from the villains. Meredith sees the monster, which Trip has decided to name Creech. She's freaked out at first, but then sees that Creech is harmless. She lets Trip hide Creech out in a stable near her house. Dowd has been doing research on the other 2 monsters. He determines that they feed off oil and that they are quite intelligent. Trip and Meredith have fun with Creech as Trip decides to use him as an engine for the truck. Trip modifies the truck to fit Creech and to keep him hidden. He and Meredith take Creech out and stop for gas. However, since gas has more chemicals than regular oil, Creech goes wild and starts riding like crazy through town, causing lots of damage to other cars and destroying an entire lot of cars by riding over them. Back at Terravex, Dowd continues to research the other 2 monsters and has even developed an affection for them. Tennyson says that they plan to poison the well that the creatures came from. Trip and Meredith stop by where Wade works. Trip tries to talk to him about his situation, but Wade instead sells them out to Burke. When Burke threatens Trip to give up Creech, the monster takes control of the truck. Trip and Meredith hop in, and Trip has Creech rammed through Wade's trailer. Burke and his goons chase after them, while Rick is in pursuit after they ride into town. Creech manages to climb up the walls and sneak over Rick to avoid detection. The gang hides out near Meredith's house for the night. In the morning, Creech is gone. Since Trip left his phone in the truck, Meredith uses an app to track it. It leads them to Terravex. They find Creech has reunited with the other 2 monsters, who turn out to be his parents. Trip and Meredith get caught while the monsters are captured, and Tennyson erases any trace of the monsters from their phones. Dowd escorts the 2 out of the building, but he tells them he wants to help them because he cares about the monsters. With help from Sam and Mr. Weathers, Trip gets 2 more trucks that he and his friends fix up to accommodate the monsters. They take the trucks back to Terravex and break out Creech and his parents. Trip, Meredith, and Dowd ride toward the oil well above the monster ecosystem as Burke and his goons follow them. Rick gets in on it too, but Burke rams his car down a hill. Rick then gets inside a larger vehicle to run Burke's goons off the road. The three trucks make it to the oil well, but the workers have already started to drill down with the poison. Burke tries to push Tripp and Creech into a hole, but Creech grabs Burke's truck and flings it into the drilling machine, ceasing the poisoning. Tripp and Creech fall into the hole, but land in water. Creech pulls Tripp out of the truck. Tripp sees the rest of Creech's family as he and his parents rejoin them. Tripp says goodbye to Creech. Tennyson and his cronies are arrested for their dirty deeds. Tripp and Rick are now on good terms and have fixed up the truck to make it look better. Tripp and Meredith then go for a ride through town